Welcome to this week's edition of the Business Doctor Show. This will be hosted, since John is not around, it will be hosted by Choya Harden. And I'll let you introduce our guest speaker for this week.
All right. Well, I don't know if he needs any introduction. He's been a familiar face around here. And Mark, we'll get to you in just a minute. I know you've got some great information for us today. I just want to introduce myself real quick and let everybody else introduce themselves real fast. Just a really quick go around. I'm Choya Harden with Incredible Towns, Incredible Business Networking. We're a web marketing and business networking company. Rita, give us your quick spill.
Hi, everybody. I'm Rita Thomas, your funnel godmother. That's why I have a crown and a wand. So I build funnels, teach you how to do it, and I customize everything in your CRM for you.
All right. Joe Newton, say hi real quick.
Hey everyone, how's it going? Joe Newton with Newton's Tech. I help business owners who are working too many hours because leads, follow-ups, and important work keep falling through the cracks. I'll go in, audit marketing, operations, those systems, find bottlenecks, and build a plan to basically simplify and automate all that so the owners don't have to spend as much time doing it. Joe Newton, Newton's Tech.
All right. And Gene, really quick, tell us who you are.
Yeah, so I'm John's marketing person. So I handle all the marketing side of John's company. So yeah.
Awesome. And for any of you that are watching this on the podcast, we're live right now. But if you are just watching this, John is on vacation today, so we're all living vicariously through his pictures that he's been sending. But I just want to give a quick commercial for John real fast, since he is the host of the show. If you're a small business owner who works harder every year but still feels stuck, overwhelmed, or unsure what to fix next, you should really meet John Pyron, known as a business doctor. Just as a physician looks beyond symptoms to diagnose the real problem, John examines what is happening inside a company. He helps identify the bottlenecks, inefficient systems, unclear priorities, and accountability gaps that may be slowing its growth. His approach is straightforward and tailored to each company. An ideal referral for John is an entrepreneur or a small business owner who's working hard but not gaining traction, constantly putting out fires, preparing for the company's next stage of growth. If that's you or someone you know, get them in touch with John at johnpyron.com. I've worked with him. Many other people on this call work with him. John's the real deal. So I just want to give him a plug while he's away. And we're going to get right to our guest, Mark. Mark doesn't need a lot of introduction. He is very well spoken, and I'm going to let him run with it. He's got some great intelligence for us today. So, Mark with Pro Growth Agency, you have the floor or the screen, whichever you wish.
Hey, Hi, everybody. So again, my name is Mark Vokac. I'm from the Czech Republic. I was exchange student 3 years ago. I lived with John Pyron and his family for some time, and I started my own business. I started with digital marketing agency, and now I'm doing outbound calling and appointment setting for people like John and other professionals. And so we'll be talking about, I have three main pillars today I want to cover. And also, if you guys have any questions anytime, please just raise your hand, and I would love to respond to any questions you have, or if you want to add something, you're more than welcome to do so. So number one, we'll talk about CRM, because it's a very important tool that all of us hopefully are using, but there's actually just a little percentage of business owners that actually use it correctly and they actually use the full potential of CRM. Then second pillar would be daily habit, how to make follow-up our daily habit, how to prioritize, who to call, who to contact, and how to grow and scale every single month on a regular basis, not just having good months and bad months, but how to make it consistently good months, preferably. And then the last one, we'll talk about a little bit about referrals and POI strategy that John Pyron is using and teaching his clients how to get referrals on a regular basis. And it's all tied up together to being structured, having everything in a CRM, and have the daily habit of reaching out to businesses. And so I believe, raise your hand if you use CRM. I want to see all the hands who has CRM and uses it. So open it at least once a day. Okay. All of us. Perfect. But also another thing is to actually use it. So that if you, let's say, go to a networking event, you get these business cards, you have people you want to call, you have the potential, so you put them in a CRM. Maybe you also put these that not qualify for you specifically, but you also put these data in a CRM. That's good because all the contacts are valuable. There's no such thing as contact that is not good for you because you don't know who you need to meet in the future. And I see Joe, he raised his hand. So Joe, do you have something to say for the start?
No, sorry. I was trying to raise my hand that I use a CRM.
Oh, okay, perfect. So with these leads, when you have a CRM, it's very important to prioritize and structure your day because it can get very quickly overwhelming. Like yesterday, I was on a mastermind call and there was a lady that she said that she gets 5 new contacts every single week to her business. And she was asking, if she should purchase a CRM and use it. And even though 5 contacts per week doesn't sound like a big number, it will, get big very quickly because if you have 5 new people every single week that you meet and you need to keep up with the follow-up, it gets big. This number gets big really quickly and it gets overwhelming. It gets really overwhelming because then the worst thing that can happen, and it's happening actually to all of us, is that we miss the opportunity. Person that we met, we identified them as a potential prospect, but we just never had time to reach out to them, or we were just reach out 3-4 times, and then we forget about them because we had all these other problems in personal life and the business. And that today's message is to be organized and make sure that you follow up with all potential prospects, those that you met last week, but also these that you met maybe 3 years ago. They still know who you are. They are still potential prospect, but you just had all these other people to contact. But you should be actually consistent with contacting these people. And so the CRM will not do the work for you. You have to actually use it. And maybe it can sound overwhelming and a little bit stupid, to put all the data that you have in CRM because you're like, I don't even know if I will ever contact this person. Why should I spend 3-4 minutes of putting all the data in my CRM? Well, if you want to sell your business in the future, that's valuable. That's how you actually sell your business and you increase the value of the business. But also, the more data you have now and spend the time putting it into CRM, the easier it is for you to operate in the future. Because the more data you have, the quicker you can move. And so that's, again, we're talking about being structured. And why we have a CRM. Do you guys know why we use CRM? Do you know the reason for it?
Be more
So
organized. Yeah.
exactly, being organized in follow-up and reaching out. Because another thing is to be organized, but then like you have these days like, I don't want to talk to anybody, I don't want to do the phone call, I don't want to send the email, or I'm busy with other stuff, or I'm just tired. It's also, one thing is to be structured, second is to actually use that structure you have, which is super important, and nobody talks about it because it sounds obvious, but it's a big mindset switch that you actually need to put the work and energy in place to actually leverage the CRM and all the data and contacts, people and you have, to grow your business. And I'm sure that now, if you start slowly thinking, who are people that that you didn't talk with, you didn't contact for a couple weeks or a couple months, but they are potential prospect for it? Because I'm sure there's at least one person that or if you look into your CRM again with the new look, new eyes, you'll be like, oh wow, I know about this person, why I didn't contacted them before. And there's at least one potential new client for your business. I'm sure there will be tens of people like this. And so it's about priorities. I have a cool life hack that I saw John use, is that we like paper and pen, and I do it too. I like to write things down on paper. Do you have the same thing? Do you guys also use paper? I don't know why, I just like to write things down. So how I am structured and organized, because I'm not doing calls and talking and communicating with people in my business, but I also do it for other people and other clients. So it's hundreds of people that I'm talking on a regular basis. And so I have to be structured and organized. That's why I'm covering this topic today. It's not just about, John is busy, so I'm talking here. No, I talk with hundreds of people daily. So I need to be organized, working with different CRMs and different clients, etc. So what I do is I write down on a piece of paper my priority list, which contains usually between 10 to 30 people I want to contact today. I write it down, preferably the day before, but I do it in the morning. And I have these 10 to 30 people that I will do the contact. I will contact them in either shape or form. It can be a phone call, but also it can be a text or a Zoom call or email that I will send them. Because now that I have it on my paper, I see these names, and when I'm doing other stuff, I just see the paper on my desk. I see these, I need to do it. I have to do it. I should talk to them. And when I have it in front of my eyes, it's helped me to get organized, be organized. But okay, these people are the priority. I know they are qualified. So that's why I will put my full attention to these people, then to trying to, get new leads or get new business, doing all these other stuff and being busy on a paper, but realistically, moving my business forward. Because you will move your business forward only when you communicate with people, when you're meeting people.
Mm-hmm.
And all of us know, how many touches it takes to actually get someone to the meeting or get interested in our product. It usually is, between 8 and 12 times. We all know that it's between 8 and 15 follow-up. But do we actually do it with everybody? No, because there is no way you can do it with 100 people. There is no way you can contact these people 8 times. That's why we have this priority list to, get this number down to 10 to 15. And these are people that in my mind is like, I need from them to get response. Even if they say no, it's fine, but I need to get response. And when these names, I see every day, sometimes they're there maybe for a week or 2 weeks, and I'm still trying to send them text, email, phone call, and get these people interested. And I keep track everything in my CRM. So the gap is, again, don't miss any opportunity that you already have. And it's important to be consistent with it and organized, because if you go into a day when you wake up and you start working and you don't know who you want to call that day, or you are like, okay, I have it in CRM, but you have to open CRM, look and find these people, it will take you so much energy. And after weeks of doing this, you will most likely stop with this activity, because you need to be prepared. You need to know exactly who you will contact. So let's say, if you create a group in your CRM, it's the perfect way to do it. So you don't have to think about it, where to find these people. You just know it's in a group, because you don't have to think about it. That's why it will get so overwhelming and will take you so much energy to still, thinking about doing the follow-up. But if you have the paper like I do on desk, or you have it in a CRM, you know where these people are every single day you were working on them. You don't have to think about it, and it will help you so much, because it's not task anymore. It's not, I will do follow-up or I will contact. It's not task anymore that you have to do. It's a activity you do on regular basis. So you should have a time blocked on your calendar to do this follow-up. It's not task, right? It's time block. That's how you will be consistent every day, to have it in your calendar preferably. So do you have any question, or does anyone want to say something more about it, maybe about their personal experience? Is there someone who would like to share?
Yeah, I'll share. So I agree 100%. And the keeping that one piece of paper on my desk does the same thing for me. It's that visual, gets me right back on track if my eyes start to wander, or I feel like, I wonder what's on Facebook. There's that paper right there reminding me. And I love what you said about, you can't just buy the software. You can't just buy the CRM, you have to actually use it. And that's where a lot of business owners feel like, oh, that didn't work. But that's because they didn't work it. So good job.
If you don't like paper too, I keep just a simple Google Doc open up on, I've got 3 big 25-inch screens here. So I keep a Google Doc pulled up with my to-do list. And as I finish items, I get rid of them, and I have new ones, I put them in, and the priority I need to do. But it is good to have that visual reminder, whether you use pen and paper or if you use an electronic document. So I like the electronic document though because I can pull it up on my phone when I'm out and about working, and I don't have to worry about losing a piece of paper. So
You're absolutely right, and I like it even more. So I just like paper, but exactly, I can lose it.
Mhm.
I have to think about taking it with me. So if you have it in electronic way, an electronic document, then it's the best, I think, the best way how to keep track on things. And which leads us again to this daily habit. And I a little bit talk about it. It's about to having this time blocked on your calendar. And once that time block actually begins, you need to stop. And it takes at the beginning to get into this habit. It's hard to just, stop with everything you're doing and actually focus just only to do the follow-up for next 30 minutes because there's always something to do. As a business owner, we all know this. There's always stuff to do. There's always someone on the phone, someone waiting for your response. There's something you have to do, you have to fix, or personal life. It's very important to actually stop doing whatever you're doing and actually only do the follow-up. Because it's important to do it, but if you just, let's say you're sending a text and email to somebody, and then one day, you're like, okay, I will just send them random text. I will just put in a chat GPT, or, I will just use AI to quickly respond because I don't have time to care about it. People will feel it that you just, randomly send them a text, and it can actually turn some people down if you don't follow up properly. And it's also important because there's, so many ways how to follow up. You can play with it a lot and have fun with it. That's the important part. Because what all of us do is that we just use AI to write an email or write a text and send it to people. That's why, doing the phone call is cool. But if you can send handwritten letter, I mean, that's the next level of follow-up. But I'm curious if someone does that because I'm sure it works. But again, it's a way how to differentiate. Rita?
Yeah, so what you just said about a handwritten letter, I think is really amazing. And um, I reserve that for things that are quite out of the ordinary, that someone really went above and beyond, and I like to handwrite that. One tip that I like with follow-up is follow up with them the way they want. Some people only want you to text them. And some people hate you to text them and they only want you to either call or email them. So find out through conversation, you'll pick it up, or just ask them right out, how would you like to be communicating with me? And then do what they like, because if you do what they don't like, that's not going to be good for either one of you.
That's a good point. That's a good point. And it takes time to find out, who likes what. And again, you have to try it. So it's not just about to, let's say, send out emails to people, even though, it's easy to do and it takes a few seconds to draft email and send it. But you need to try different things. So exactly, send a text, do the phone call, find out what that person prefers, and then stick to it and being consistent. And also, it's not just about, saying, I'm following up or I'm just reminding. You also want to deliver value. And I know it's easy to say it than actually do it, but you should try to provide value every single follow-up that you do. So if you have a ebook to send people, send it out. If you, have a tip, something you learned that day, you can call that person and be like, hey, I learned this. Maybe it will help, maybe not. But, I was just thinking about you, and I was thinking I will just bring a little bit of value to your life today, and call them up. Like, it's cool follow up that nobody does. Nobody does that. So we will differentiate. And that's why, like, personally, I never say I'm just following up, or, I'm just reminding you to do something, because everybody uses it. And I don't like that approach. And you can tell it's cheap. That person didn't take time to follow up with you. They just simply say, I'm following up just to follow up because I know you will not respond. So that way, it will not give you that feeling and energy that, you don't want to respond to that person. Not even a little bit more. You're just like, okay, he's following up, she's following up. I'll maybe respond, maybe not. But if you actually take the time, do something funny or add the value, people, they will notice it, and it compounds. And Rita also said it takes time to build this system and momentum. It's not about even weeks. It takes months of repeat action, repeat action, and being consistent. And also John talks a lot about referrals, this POI system, he uses contacting people every single day. You need to have the list, the priority list to call, and you have to do this every single day or it will not work. Once you stop, once you do the pause for a couple days, the chances will drop again. Every single day that, the person is actually, you didn't contact that person, every single day, counts. And either you contact them every single day, they kind of think about you, they have you in their mind because you reminded them about you and your product and the problem they probably have. But if you don't follow up every single day, there are new people that are doing the same thing as you. So there's more and more people trying to get the attention, that new customer, and you're losing. It's losing every day. You're losing potential customers. So it's not a way how to look at it. Because if you're not motivated by getting new customers, maybe you'll be motivated, but that you are losing customers every day, not following up. And it doesn't take, and it's not about doing it for an hour. Because if you do it properly for 30 minutes, you can reach out to 50 people easily. You do some phone calls, you send some emails, you send some texts, and you're done for the day. You don't have to do it anymore because you will do some tomorrow too, and then you will be consistent with it. If you do one day 10 follow-ups and another day 70, then you will burn out. And I think it's the same with everything, and all of us know that because it happened to us before. And that's why it's important to, again, be consistent. And again, I heard this so many times, and it's still hard, to do it every single day and be consistent. And there are just days or weeks, something happens, especially in personal life, and you don't have the energy to do that, and you need to do the stuff even though you don't want to. You just have to. And again, getting back on track with things is hard, and the gap is still there. But if you are conscious about it, your goals, you're committed, then you should get back on track very easily. And I don't want to get into it because it's a completely different topic, but having the commitment and goal in mind is the base, right? Like, because if you don't have a goal, we will not be talking about follow-up today or CRM, because you need to know why you're doing this, what you're doing. If you don't know the destination where you're going, of course you will not be motivated to do the follow-up, and you will be, tired every day to do these phone calls and talk to people, and it will take and suck energy out of you because you are not committed. And you can lose the commitment through, the years of being in the business, and you have to also find motivators for you to do that. But number one would be for someone that maybe, is lost, and I'm sure there are people today like this. You have to recommit first before you do any follow-ups, because if you don't know where you're going, then you might just be stuck following up with people till the rest of your life and not move anywhere. So be careful about it. You have to know the reason why you're following up. And getting a customer is good reason, but why do you want to have this customer? Is it to make money? Okay, good. But why you want to make money? And you need to remind yourself about it. So again, writing down goals every day is a good idea to consider, especially if you're communicating with a lot of people, because it takes a lot of energy. And you need to have the positive attitude every day. Try to be positive. And that also helps. All right. Now I want to move to the last segment I have here with referrals, which is, I think, the most exciting. And it's because this will generate at least 10 new customers for you. And I'm not oversaturating. And it's not about getting 10 customers in a year, but you can get them within 2 weeks. And it's a strategy called POI, which is person of influence. And what it means is you met a person that, they have their own business, they do something different than you. But let's say business coaches, they work with a lot of other business owners. And if you're a B2B business and looking for leads, you don't have enough leads, you don't have enough, you feel like you don't have enough, you want to have more qualified, warm leads, not just doing cold calls, you should reach out to people that already know your targeted clients. So I'll give you an example so it's not confusing. So let's say you have a marketing agency, right? And you work with small businesses. Well, you have multiple options. Number one, you can, let's say, attend networking events. That's a great way how to get new leads. But you have a lot of marketers there as well, talking about similar product. It's very hard to differentiate, but it's a great way to do it. And I encourage you to do that. So also the different, and it's also how to scale it quicker than attend networking events is to, let's say, a business coach. Business coaches, they work with small business owners. And so if you do a partnership with this business coach and you do marketing for them, let's say even for free, you offer them services for free in exchange of you getting access to their client database. Because they're working with 20 small business owners. Now you have access to 20 small business owners that they have personal relationship with that business coach. And what do you think will happen when that business coach will say, hey, I know this person, I know Mark, he does marketing. I think you should talk to him about your marketing because he does marketing for me and it works. I can show you and prove you, he's legit. I think you should have the conversation. So what do you think these 20 people will do? Obviously, they will book the call. And it's the easiest 20 leads you can get. The easiest. And even though, you will do the marketing for the business coach for free for some time, it will pay off big time. Because in a month, when you do the marketing for free, quote unquote, and after that 1 month you get 20 warm leads, is it worth it? You need to do the math yourself. But most of the times it is. Because out of these 20 warm introductions, you will definitely close more than 3 new customers. Definitely. Because everyone needs marketing. And I'm sure everyone needs your services as well, or at least most of people. So that's one of the strategies to use and consider. It's not about trying to generate and meet these potential prospects, but you will use someone individual that knows already audience that you want to get in front of and you talk to them. The same thing could be with Facebook groups. There's a lot of people, you can be part of the Facebook group, add value to people, always add value. And it's also like sort of a follow-up. If you every day, you go to business Facebook group and you every day post something, some little bit of value, something, let's say you learned that day, every single day, people notice you. They will see you're active. They will see you're not promoting yourself. You're just adding value, which will be weird to them. And then one day you just say, hey, this is what I do. If you have any, I would like to talk to you. You will be surprised how many people will reach out because they already trust you, because they see you multiple times, bringing them value to their life, because they're most likely struggling with the same things that you do in your business, because we're on the same page, right? And it's always, you can hear the same information 100 times, and then another person, the 101st time, will come to you and say, hey, you need to do this, and you're like, wow, that's right. I heard this so many times, but I never actually take action. I never take action, and now I will do that. So again, I hope that makes sense. Something to consider, how to get leads. So it's not about just going and approaching one-on-one. It's important to scale the business and be thinking a little bit bigger and try to tap into other people's networks. So business coaches for, let's say, B2B businesses is definitely a person you should consider meeting, not necessarily to sell them your product, but to work out this sort of partnership for you that will, you will both benefit. That's the important part. It's a win-win situation, win-win-win situation for everybody, because, they will get your marketing, the business coach will get the marketing, and the marketing agency, they will get new leads, and the customers of the business coach, they will also, get a chance to work with the marketing agency. So they will also, get help with marketing, and then it's a win-win-win situation for everybody. And I'm sure John already talked about it multiple times because I know he does it a lot. So it's important. So now, Gene, I would like to hear from you. And I'm sorry to call on you, but I would like to hear from you because you're doing also calls for John.
Yeah.
do you do it are you consistent with it? Do you have priority list that John will
Um,
tell you, like, these are people you should contact or not? How
Yeah,
do you do it?
actually, I'm just following John's marketing system wherein we have like a group of people that we used to send an email to, or we will send an email to, and then the day after we will follow up with a call. And I'm pretty consistent with the one that I have right now with the list that I have. And so far, I think the what you call this one? The success of the call really depends on the list that you have. Well, if you have like a generic list, for example, all of the contacts or all of the call ended up in voicemail, and there's like I already called four groups. Like that's like 100 people already, and I only received a three answer out of those 100 calls that I made. So it's pretty hard. But I think if you're just consistent with it, you could be able to practice your skill, the way you pitch or the way you speak with people, and I think that will help. And moving forward, if you receive like a call or if you accept any call from clients, it'll be easier for you to handle and you know what to answer. So yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, because Jean is consistent because I see what she does. She's consistent with it. I love her persistency and exactly like her success rate went through the roof once she was actually doing this on daily basis and she developed a habit. And some days, like she said, sometimes you call even 100 people and you get maybe three responses, or they will say no. And then the next day you do 17 dials, and out of these 17 dials you talk with seven people and three will actually book the meeting. So you never know. That's why, again, something to consider is, and John helped me with the strategy, is you don't, especially with calling, I only measure meetings that I actually booked that day. So I set a target, but because I know, sometimes it just takes 17 dials to book two appointments. When that day comes, I do 17 dials and I actually book two appointments. I allow myself, if I don't want to do any more calls, I will just, I will not do any more calls today. And I can do something else. I will just, take a break for some time because it is a successful day. And you don't have to be hard on yourself to do 30 calls every single day, even though it works for somebody. For me, it does not work. I like to see the results. So one day I do 30 dials, I don't book any appointment. And it sucks. So maybe I do a little bit more dials. I book maybe one appointment. My goal was two. And then I'm like, okay, I'm done. I did my 30. I tried a little bit more. It's fine. It wasn't the day. And then again, the following day, usually it's the following day. I do again exactly five dials. I booked two appointments. I'm like, okay, perfect. Now I'm actually having fun because I see the success. And that day I'll do 40 dials. And I booked five appointments because it was just a great day. And that's exactly the compound interest to doing this every single day because you don't know in what situation when you contact these people, in what situation they're at right now when they receive your text or call or email. Maybe their cat died. So obviously they will not respond to you. Obviously they will, ignore you for some time because they just have different priorities in their life than talking to you about your product and services. But it doesn't mean even someone will ignore you 5 times, 5 different follow-ups that you do and they will ignore you. It doesn't mean they are not interested and that they don't want to talk with you. It does not. It's important to get this out of your mind because you will get these thoughts like, you'll be like, okay, well, maybe that person is not interested because they didn't respond it. But the truth is maybe they didn't even see your email. Maybe they didn't even, notice you called them. Maybe I have a full, voicemail. They have the full form of voicemails and they just didn't see your voicemail. Maybe they read your text, forgot about it because something happened. So don't assume the bad. Always be positive and be like, maybe that person just something happened, in their personal life, and it will follow up the next day and the next day, because it does not mean they're not interested. It just means they either it's not the right time for them, something happened in their life or their business they need to fix, the priorities changed for some time, and then you're here for them, every single day, every single time, every single week, when the priorities will switch again to normal that it was before, and they will again have the need for your services. You want to be the first person that will pop up into their inbox and call them on the phone and send them a text, be like, I'm here for you, and they will respond. eventually. And that's where the true value is built. And Chad, you want to say something? You want to add to this? You're muted, you're muted.
You're muted.
I see your
There we go. Sorry, talking
Okay.
away. I can hear myself. Just a couple of questions I've been having going on. One of the first ones is when you're constantly contacting people through calls, emails, texts, etc. How do you prevent lead fatigue to where they just get tired of hearing from you? How do you keep it creative in a way that keeps them not offended by the fact that you're trying to contact them?
That's a great question. So obviously, it's important the first 2, 3 weeks to follow up more often, so multiple times a week, because they are hot, they know about you, they last time met you in person, at networking event. It's important to make this follow up even every single day. And if they call you and tell you, you're following too much, take me off the list, then you will lose some deals. You will lose some people. And that's just how it is. But people should not get offended by you reaching out, because if you want to truly help them, they will know it. But to this fatigue, so the strategy that we do is that we always do phone, text, and email in this order, but it doesn't mean that you do it the same day. But usually what we do, we follow up 3 times a week. So let's say on Monday they will get a call from us. Wednesday they will get call with voicemail. We left voicemail and then send them a text. On Friday we'll send email. And we'll do the same in the morning the next week. So we'll say, hey, I send you, but the follow-up will be not like, hey, this is me again. I want to have a meeting with you, but I'll ask them, hey, I sent you email last Friday with ebook. I want to make sure you received it because, it's $50 of value or $100 of value. And so you change this angle to not just being, hey, this is me, I want to have a meeting with you, but you follow up on different topics, if that makes sense.
Hey, Mark.
Yeah, so change up the topic, change up the platform.
Yes,
Hey,
basically.
Mark. This
Yes,
is
Larry?
Larry. I jumped in on the call about 30 minutes into it, but one of the things that I've started using is following up with success stories of other customers that I've had. Using it as kind of like a testimonial kind of thing. And say, hey, if you want to see these same kind of results, get back to me. I'd be happy to spend some time with you on the phone and talk about it. So just another idea for you.
Oh, no, that's great. I love it. So you say you call them or you send them an email? How do you do it? If you
Well,
don't
either
mind
I'll
sharing.
call them and get their message, or I'll send them an email that shows here's a success story from a group that we're dealing with, and you can see some of the similar results. Just get a hold of me. So it's a good follow-up email, and it's a way that you don't have to necessarily say those sad words, "I'm following up." Okay.
Right.
And you just say, hey, I just wanted to share with you another success story from one of the customers who just started a deal with us. I don't know if it applies to what you're doing, but it might be a good idea to give me a call and we'll see how this can apply to you. So,
Thank you for sharing that. I love it. And that's a great idea. So let me implement it. I wasn't using it before. And that's also with this fatigue and also being creative and having fun with follow-up, because you do so many follow-ups every day, or you should be doing it. And there's so many ways how to do it. Actually, it's unlimited different ideas that you can do and things you can use. So thank you, Larry, for sharing that. That's definitely, and I'm sure it works very well to share these client successes. And that's why it's not follow-up is not a task on your list. It should be a time block in your calendar, because in these 30 minutes that you have blocked every day, that's time when you also exactly think about how can I bring value to the person? How can I follow up differently than other people, but differently than what I did last time? And when you actually sit down and write things down with different ideas, exactly like client success stories, case studies, I love it. It's a great way how to do that. Or it can be to send them a gift card with $5 gift card, and just saying, hey, I just sent you this gift card thinking about you. I would love to grab a coffee with you, next week or whenever you're ready. Again, it costs some money, but it will definitely be worth it because you differentiate from other people. Rita, do you have also, you want to share a follow-up strategy you do?
Well, I have a question about the time blocking. So I've taken on a giant new task in my business. I'm really excited about it. And I'm going to be running a Go High Level agency now, in addition to my business that I already have. And they are going to dovetail, so that's going to be perfect. However, I am reworking my time blocking for the week, each week. And here's my question. I've heard varying business gurus in their books address this different ways. But so let's say I do my follow up in the morning, I make all my calls, and then I have different time blocks in the afternoon, and people call you back. So is the advice, let that go to voicemail, stay on your task, or do you pick up? Now you're a little bit different because your whole business is on the phone, but if I'm building something, a funnel, or if I'm planning mode, then do I pick up the phone when somebody calls, or do I let that go to voicemail? And how do you suggest that?
Good question. I'm sure that you as a person should know if you can, be consistent and stick to things that you have planned out for the day. So meaning, if you pick up the phone in the middle of something and you do actually do the call, if you are able to go back to what we were doing before with 100% energy and consistency. Because again, I'll use me for example. I usually let it to go to voicemail, honestly. Even though if you pick up the phone when someone is calling you, there is higher chance you will book the meeting. So if you are desperate for the meeting and you want the meeting, you want to talk to the person, obviously pick up the phone when they're calling you, because the success is, and again, I know that if I respond somebody's call, it's 80% chance there because they're calling back, they're interested in meeting. So if you want to have the meeting, definitely pick up the phone because the success there, the percentage, because they reach out, they did, they took the effort to actually call you back. I would pick up the phone in that case. If you need the meeting, you want the meeting. But let's say you're consistent, your calendar, your pipeline is full. You're hitting your quota. You have, let's say, 5 new meetings every week, and you are fine with it. Then I would just let it go to voicemail and call these people later. And also, you reminded me about that. So having 2 time blocks in the morning and afternoon for doing these follow-ups is also a little life hack and trick for you how to reach more people. Because, some people have meetings in the morning, so they're busy, so they never respond to calls and texts or emails. They respond afternoon. Some people are opposite. That's why I have one in the morning, early in the morning, preferably, and then one afternoon. Because after doing all these calls, I see that after lunch, people usually have meetings that starts at 1 to 3 p.m. Usually they're on the meetings having phone calls, Zoom calls, in-person meetings and stuff. So I also usually do calls after 4 p.m. It's a little life hack. Because usually after 4 p.m. people are back in their offices, again, they're usually working on something that is requiring their full attention, but they are not talking to a client or someone, so they are in a position to pick up the phone.
Hey, Mark, can I just chime in here with one thing? What I used to use in the real estate business is I
Please.
used to tell people that, I'm calling you back here. If you can't take my call, I just want you to know I'm going to be in meetings until 4 p.m. And I use that hour between 4 and 5 to take incoming calls. So you can call me during that time, or you can text me back and tell me you'll be available during that time and I'll get back to you. So again, it happens a lot with the instructions you leave in your message and letting people know that you are a busy person and not to take offense if you don't take the call and you've set aside a time to do that. So just a bit of, little advice.
One other thing you can do that really helps me out a lot lately is just setting up a Calendly or other phone call appointment setting link in all your communications. So whether it's in your email signature or if you have it on your website, a prominent place, I found that I'm getting a lot more return phone calls from people simply because I give them the link and say, "Hey, contact me when it's convenient for you. Here's the link." And so we get a lot more phone calls back that way, and at a time that I'm comfortable with because it works with my schedule.
That's a cool life hack. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And it reminded me again, and I had this discussion with John a couple of weeks ago because I was in a position I was doing a lot of phone calls, a lot of follow-ups, but I was leaving voicemails every time when someone didn't answer.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me so much time and energy, and after leaving 30th voicemail, the same message over and over again, after a few weeks, I was ready to quit. I was ready to quit. I hated it. I hated it. The voicemail over and over and over again. And I asked John what to do, and he told me, Mark, you don't have to leave voicemails every time you call somebody. I was like, what do you mean? Like, they will, why not? I mean, I was doing it, and I realized if you call somebody, you don't have to leave a voicemail every time. If you do a lot of calls, and a lot of can be 20 a day. But again, in some cases, so that's why the strategy that I'm using is when I call somebody for the first time, I leave a voicemail every time. And again, Larry had a good point to say when I'm available, or like Choya said, to share my calendar, that would help a lot. So I will consider definitely doing this. I will leave a voicemail the first call. But then the second and third call, I don't leave voicemails, period, because it takes you so much time to leave this voicemail and it's repetitive. And I hate repetitive tasks. Maybe you like repetitive tasks, but I hate them. That's why I just dial the number. And I know that when I'm just dialing numbers and not leaving voicemails, I can do 3, 4 times the volume I usually, can reach. Let's say I leave 20 voicemails that day. I call 20 people, leave 20 voicemails. It takes me an hour. But if I actually don't leave voicemails, in an hour, I can dial 50, 60 numbers. So chances I'll reach more people are higher and higher. And chances are that a person on the other side of the phone, they are available for a call, that will pick up the phone, are higher. So that's why the first call, I leave voicemail. Second, third, no voicemails at all. And then again, fourth, I leave a voicemail. Fifth and sixth, I don't leave voicemails. So again, something to consider. And I know that there are people, Grant Cardone, he said, you should leave voicemails every time. Every time you call, leave a voicemail. And again, after my experience, it's doesn't have to be true every time. And especially, you have to be careful about exactly burning out and having this repetitive task. So voicemails are also a big part of the follow-up. And again, that's why I enjoy to do follow-ups, honestly, because there's always something you can change or do. Like Larry, Choya, suggested, I'm not even using these follow-ups. I do this every day. But once you get, the cycle of doing follow-ups, it's something that you're doing, it works. You're trying to come up with something new, but you have already people around you that already are doing new ways of follow-ups. It's just, you just have to ask. So that's a great lesson here to just ask for help, or, your colleague, if you have time, to just reach out and ask for help.
Well, one of the
So yeah,
other
just
things,
please.
Mark,
Yeah.
one of the other techniques a lot of people use is calling people up and asking them to get back to you because you want to get their opinion on something. That always works.
Good point. And we used it. John is using sometimes the same strategy. True. People like to talk about themselves, and if you make them special, then they will definitely buy from you, or at least talk to you. Yeah. So let me recap, and then we can get into Q&A. But I'm sure that all of you that had a question already asked. So we talk about CRM. So it's very important to be consistent with your CRM and actually use this tool. And how you use it is that you create a priority list every day, people that you want to contact, that are your people that are most likely to be customers. And these are people you want to touch, you want to contact, and it can be phone call, email, text. You want to reach out to these people a few times a week, preferably every day, if you have different types of follow-ups. And that's how you Number one, you'll be organized, you will have the structure in business, but also you will know how many people you are, there's how many people you can actually close. You know how many potential prospects you have in a business. And then all right, maybe I need more. I need more potential prospects because I'm not hitting my goal and I will not hit my goal. Or you'll be like, okay, I have enough. Can happen. I have enough warm leads. I don't have to go networking for some time and just work out my database. Or I should ask for more referrals because I have a lot of leads. I have cold leads, but it's hard to close a cold lead and sell them my services or product. That's why I should ask for more referrals. So it's important to be organized. And all of us, I encourage you after this call to go to CRM, look at it, and think about someone you didn't talk in a while, but they are still your potential prospect, and you should contact them today because it can be your next customer that you had in database the whole time, but just forget about them because you are busy with talking to new prospects and new people. Number two, daily habit. Follow-up is not task. It's a block on your calendar, preferably 2 blocks, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. So you can follow different times and play with it. There is so many different ways how to follow up. So people don't get mad at you saying, please take me off the list. I'm not interested. Stop bothering me. But actually they will thank you. And that's how you know you do the follow-up properly. People are thanking you for reaching out. And it's happening to me at least every day. They're like, thank you for calling me, Mark. I'm like, oh, you're welcome. And it just gives you that feeling of, excitement and fulfillment. Like, oh, I'm on the good path. It paid off. It paid off. And then last thing is referrals. So POI strategy, I a little bit tap into it. I'm sure that it will, John and Choya will cover it in next episodes. Follow in also, they talk about it before. But you don't need to have necessarily new leads going into business every time. All you have to do is look at people you already know and try to get in front of audience that already fits your ideal customer profile. So you don't have to try to get new cold leads, but you can use the database you have, ask for referrals, and that way grow your warm and hot prospect list. So thank you guys for your time. I hope it was valuable. If you have any questions, please let me know.
I have a burning
Choya,
question that I've been wondering this whole time. So the Czech Republic is 6 hours ahead of Eastern time in the United States. When do you sleep?
I do sleep. I'm trying to sleep 8 hours a day, but that's funny. So I work afternoons. So my work day starts at 2 p.m.
That's what I
and I
figured.
go to bed usually at 11 p.m. I'm trying not to work after 11. Sometimes I do, sometimes I have to.
'Cause, yeah,
But
2 p.m. there would be 8 a.m. in New York. So that's what I was
correct.
wondering.
That's 8
So that
a.m.
makes
Correct.
sense.
And I don't like it. I would rather work in the morning than afternoon, but it is what it is. But I do sleep. Yes. Thank you, Chair, for asking. I do sleep. I'm trying to.
Anybody else have any other questions for Mark? This has been very informative. And if you're watching this on a podcast later, Mark, tell us how they can get in touch with ProGrowth Agency.
Thank you. So you can call my personal cell phone at 916-626-1274. Again, 916-626-1274. Or email me info@progrowthagency.com.
Excellent. All right. Does anybody else have any other questions before we get finished up? We've got just a couple minutes. Rita.
So yeah, I have a question, another question for Mark. So you make the phone calls, you reach out. So I would give you my leads and you reach out to them and then they book, they book appointments with me. So when is a business ready to hire someone like you? What kind of situation or what kind of milestones would they be hitting that to say it's time to hire? You're an appointment setter, right?
It is, yes, strategic
Yeah.
appointment setting. Yes. Thank you for asking. So it is for business owners that they have at least 200 contacts in their database, people that they probably met at least once or they talked to them once. Because we work only with the already existing database and we grow it by referrals. And it makes sense if you, let's say, you're too busy to do follow-up yourself. You just simply don't have time, 2 hours a day to spend on following up with people and setting these meetings, or maybe you don't have enough energy to do that because it's overwhelming, then it's definitely something to consider if you want to scale and grow your business, because it is investment at the beginning for the first 3 weeks, but after 3 weeks, if you either hire me or any agency that they actually do the work, you get results within 2 weeks. That's how quickly you get appointments, qualified appointments on your calendar. So the return on investment is quick, and you see within a month if it works. So if you want to grow, then it's definitely something to consider as well. I will give you examples. If you have business and you sell product that's costs $50 and you have a couple hundred leads, it's not a good idea to hire someone to do appointment setting because you will never cover the cost, and it would be probably a waste of your time and waste of energy because there are other ways how to do it. But if you sell a product that is, at least $500 or more, and you want to grow and you want to do what you're best at, which is growing your business and delivering the product or service, you don't want to worry about doing phone calls, figuring out how to do follow-up, putting all the data in a CRM, communicating with people every day, being available every time they call. You want to be consistent, laser focused on growing your business, then you're in a position to consider to hire an appointment setter, a person that can help you with doing this outreach and appointment setting for you. So thank you for asking.
All right, we've got time for one last question if anybody has one. That way we can finish on time. So anybody else have a question for Mark? All right, Gene, did you have anything else you wanted to add? Otherwise, Mark, thank you very much for an excellent presentation today. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Gene, anything else you got to add?
No, I think that's it. That's it.
All right.
I just, yeah.
Very good. All right. Well, again, thank you everybody for this being here on this episode of the Business Doctor Show, powered by Incredible Business Networking and Knoxville Insider. And hope to see you again next week, every week, 2 o'clock Eastern, or 2 p.m. in Prague, whatever you got. We'd love to have you. Thanks.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Bye-bye.
See you guys.
Bye.